I'm Mia Rigdon, nutritionist, trained chef, and the founder of Rasa.
I'm Jenny Dorsey, professional chef, writer, and the founder of Studio Atap. And this is Alt Baking Bootcamp, your crash course in healthier baking.
Today, we're tackling brownies, but we're gonna healthify the recipe by taking out the butter, the refined sugars, all the flours, and the eggs. And we're gonna add black beans to the mix. This is gonna make this recipe gluten-free, grain-free, nut-free, refined sugar-free, and vegan. But don't worry, it's still delicious. Should we get started?
Yeah, but first, let's taste the original.
So this is the classic brownie recipe. I think this came from a box. Oh, it's hard to cut.
It's a very firm brownie.
Yeah, seriously. This is not graceful. All right, here we go.
Hand.
I got it,
okay.
I got it. Definitely chocolatey.
Chewy.
Very chewy. They're all right. They're definitely chewy and chocolatey. A bit sweet for my taste.
Very sweet.
I think that we can do better. Had enough of these. All right, now let's make the recipe.
First, the beans. This is 1 can of black beans that have been soaking overnight in coconut milk. You wanna put them in for at least 8 hours or so, but I like to just toss them in before bed and not worry about it.
So, Jenny, talk to me about these black beans because I've made black bean brownies before and it's really hard to get that beany taste out.
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of times chefs will use milk to pull the flavor out of undesirable things like gamey meat. And so I thought I would apply the same principle here, but since we wanted to keep this as healthy as possible, I used coconut milk instead of regular milk.
Great idea.
And it pulls a little bit of that beany flavor out, so you don't really notice it, and there's not much of a coconut taste either.
That's great, because we love burritos, but not in our brownies.
Exactly, not sweet burritos. So I'm gonna strain these out and rinse them off so you don't really get any of the coconut flavor. Straight in the food processor.
So black beans are a wonderful source of protein, especially for vegans, and this is a vegan recipe. They also are full of fiber, potassium, folate, and vitamin B6, so super healthy ingredient to use. I love that we got out that beany flavor, and they're gonna give great texture to these brownies.
Next, let's make our flax egg. For every flax egg, you want 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed and 3 tablespoons of water. We're gonna do 2 flax eggs.
So this replaces eggs in this recipe.
Eggs are usually emulsifiers and binders in recipes like these and also add a little moisture. It's important to make sure that your flax egg has some time to sit so the flax can kind of gel with the water.
Flax is also a wonderful source of fiber, so it's definitely a healthy addition to any meal.
We also are using a 1/2 cup of coconut sugar. Coconut sugar is a little less sweet than regular sugar, but it melts like regular sugar, so it keeps that consistency we're looking for in a brownie mix. It tastes a little bit closer to brown sugar, so it has more of those caramel toasty notes, which is also nice for a recipe like this where we're using chocolate.
I love using coconut sugar for baking because it's unrefined and it also has some vitamins and minerals as well as inulin, which is a prebiotic, which is essentially food for the good bacteria in your gut.
We let this sit a little bit and you can see it's gelling a little bit. Gonna go in with the flax egg. Let's swirl it.
All right. We're using a food processor today, but you could use a blender or a hand blender for this recipe. We just want to make sure to get these beans nice and ground up.
So as you can see, there's still little bits of the bean, but beans are naturally creamy, so when you actually end up baking this all together, you're not really gonna notice any of the particles. It's gonna feel pretty creamy and consistent. Next, we're gonna add a little bit of salt. Some baking powder. The baking powder is gonna be our main leavener in this recipe. Since there's nothing really acidic in this recipe, you wanna use baking powder instead of baking soda, which needs to react with something acidic. And our cacao.
So it wouldn't be brownies without chocolate, right?
Exactly. Cacao has a slightly drying effect, so it makes the brownies like that normal brownie consistency versus a little too wet right now.
Cacao is also a wonderful superfood. It's an antioxidant full of vitamins and minerals and fiber, and of course has that chocolatey taste. As we discussed in our chocolate chip cookie recipe, chocolate is actually a health food. Great news. It's just the stuff that we add to the chocolate that can make it unhealthy. So as you've seen here, we've added black beans, some coconut sugar, just really good ingredients in here. So this is gonna be a really healthy chocolate treat. All right, let's give it a good scrape to make sure we got all the powder and all the ingredients together.
A little bit from the top.
Yeah, always falls on the top. Just give it one more pulse.
And next we're gonna add our vegan chocolate chips. Most chocolate chips are vegan, but you just wanna make sure you're being careful when you're looking at the label.
When I'm buying chocolate, I always check the labels. Sometimes it can be a little bit confusing because there will be some ingredients that you're unfamiliar with that might not actually be unhealthy. One word that I commonly see on the back of chocolate labels is lecithin. So there's soy lecithin and there's sunflower lecithin. It's a little bit of a tongue twister. But this is basically an emulsifier that helps keep the chocolate together. And the soy ones sometimes can be genetically modified. A lot of people have issues with soy, so look for the sunflower ones instead. Should we add them in?
I'm just gonna pulse a little bit so that we get little chunks of the chocolate chips, but not like completely grind them into the batter. Maybe a little bit more. Probably good. It's like really stuck.
Wait, oh, I know why.
Oh.
All right, guys, let's get over that.
So earlier we already preheated the oven to 350, and now we're ready with our batter. You can see the batter is pretty thick, but it's not like chunky. You don't want it to be liquidy, you want like kind of like a fudgy consistency.
Definitely fudgy.
You can use a regular brownie tray for this. Always a good option, and you wanna line the bottom with some parchment, but we found something while recipe testing.
A brownie tray.
Which is amazing because you can get all those crispy edges and everything is uniform in those nice little squares.
So no one has to fight over the ends, and it's great for portion control.
Let's portion out some brownies. You just wanna dollop a little into every square. You want to fill them roughly to the top, but keep in mind they are gonna rise a little bit, so you don't wanna overfill them. If you want a perfect top, you can kind of smooth it out with a spatula or a knife, but you don't have to. Or you could put little chocolate chips on the top and have cute little chocolate chips when you pull them out. And now we're gonna bake these for about 10 to 15 minutes. But if you're using a regular brownie tray, you're looking at 30, 35 minutes or so.
If you like a firmer brownie, you could cook these longer for up to even an hour.
Because these are vegan, you don't have to worry about anything being undercooked if you want like a super fudgy, gooey brownie.
All right, now let's put them in the oven. Set it for 15 minutes.
And now we wait. Oh yes.
Vegan. All right, let's taste them.
Let's sprinkle some salt on.
All right, I love some Maldon. Sea salt really accentuates the flavor of any baked good. And it looks pretty too.
It looks way more gourmet.
It does. So
Very
good.
fudgy.
Super fudgy, not beany. You literally cannot taste the black beans. That coconut milk trick, you could totally fool a kid with these. They're great for school bake-offs or wherever you have to bring baked goods to, because I know you can't bring nuts to a lot of schools these days. Lots of nut allergies, so these are a wonderful alternative.
If you don't say anything, no one will notice.
They won't. These are delicious.
And you can freeze them and eat them frozen. They're kind of like a frozen Snickers bar. It's really good.
I'm Mia Rigdon.
I'm Jenny Dorsey.
And this is Alt Baking Bootcamp.
For more recipes, make sure to subscribe to Well+Good's YouTube channel.
If there's a recipe you want to see us make, please comment below and we might just bake it for our next episode.
See you next time.
Bye.